It can get really confusing trying to navigate all of the science about food as medicine, and it can also take a lot of time to cook from scratch. But we can almost always find time and energy to make a smoothie. In this short video, I'm going to give you some of my most essential ingredients I put in my smoothies that help support optimal mental health. Welcome to Root Cause of Happiness. I'm Dr. Sarah Bryn Morrow, licensed psychologist, therapeutic yoga teacher, and optimal wellness educator. I teach the physiology of mental health and the skills that empower resilience. Join me as we explore the many pieces of the puzzle to deep healing at the root cause of happiness. I have spent countless hours reading books about nutrition to support mental health and how to use food as medicine. I think it's really a privilege to be able to shop for strategic groceries and cook from scratch. It does take a lot of time, and of course it does cost more. But I really believe that everybody can afford to invest in smoothies. Smoothies are a wonderful way to make a very quick meal that is loaded with nutrition and be strategic in what we put in those smoothies to support the brain and our neurotransmitters being in optimal balance for optimal mood. So my smoothies tend to start with a base of mixed berries and banana. So bananas have a lot of essential nutrients to support mood, such as magnesium and vitamin B6, but they also just make a nice consistency and add a natural sweetness to a smoothie. So I usually buy bananas and then freeze them when they're at their peak of ripeness, and then I'll have frozen bananas in my freezer ready to go whenever I would opt to make a smoothie rather than cook a whole meal. Sometimes my family has smoothies for dinner, and to entice my kids to want a smoothie for dinner, we'll usually have smoothies followed by popcorn. So smoothies are sometimes a really quick and efficient way to make a nutrient-dense meal for your family when you don't have much time. So we'll start with some frozen bananas. If I have fresh bananas, those work great too. And then I'll add a mix of berries. All berries have incredible antioxidant properties. Most of them have vitamin C and also magnesium and things that can be really helpful for mood. So any combination, usually frozen berries are cheaper to buy. So blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, black currants, even frozen cherries. Any of those beautiful purples and reds and blue fruits are going to give you a wonderful support of polyphenols and antioxidants and support the gut microbiome as well. So bananas and berries tend to be the fruit base that I start with. And then I'm going to add some greens. So spinach tends to be the leafy green that just disappears into a smoothie with no detectable taste. And spinach also has many nutrients such as folate and B6 that we know are supportive of mood. All leafy greens are helpful for magnesium, which is one of our most essential nutrients for mood stability and stress resilience. So I'll usually throw in a big handful of spinach, and usually for my family of 4, I'll add in either a half of a large avocado or a whole smaller avocado and have, roughly a good quarter of an avocado per person. So avocado also, if you happen to buy them and they ripen quickly, you can scoop out the flesh and freeze that. I might just throw that in with my bag of bananas, so I have frozen avocado right there with my banana ready to go. So avocado, at one point I was told by a doctor that avocados have the most diverse nutrients supportive of mental health out of any one given food. Avocados also have really healthy fats, and fats support the brain. So avocado and spinach will often be in my smoothies. You may not have fresh produce on hand, and I really think green powders are helpful. So we have lots of products on the market now that have a blend of green foods powdered. And if you imagine if you were to take a whole head of lettuce, dehydrate it, blend it into powder, how little volume that would take up. So just a spoonful of greens powder has a lot of nutritional value in it. There's different powders you might consider. I will often buy barley grass powder for my family. Also things like even kelp powder, like seaweed powder, just a little bit in there to add some nutrition, but not too much because that might change the flavor. There's also green powders out there that are flavored with a sweetener or even a minty or fruity taste, and those may not be ideal for smoothies because the taste might be overwhelming. But if you can find a non-sweetened, non-flavored greens powder with a multitude of green plants in there, that can be a wonderful way to go. What I tend to do with powdered nutrients is I tend to mix a bunch together and keep them in a jar pre-combined for efficiency. So I might have in my powder blend some powdered greens. I tend to buy powdered Chinese medicinal mushrooms, which also have much more scientific research coming out now showing how helpful they are to not just mental health, but overall physical health. Reishi mushroom is considered one of the most supportive mushrooms for mental health, and lion's mane is known to support the brain and cognitive function. And also cordyceps is something that has some research showing benefits for mental health. What's nice is you can buy powdered mushroom blends. So just like we have greens powders, we also have blends of mushroom medicinal powders that will have a wide variety of Chinese mushrooms, all dried and powdered and mixed into one blend. One company I'm familiar with is called OM, O-M, and they have a master blend of medicinal mushrooms that come in powder form. Mushrooms are going to be much cheaper in a bulk powder form than in capsule form. So it's another financial benefit to buy that in powder you can add to a smoothie and just have a little bit in a smoothie to support your brain and body overall health. So greens powder, mushrooms powder, turmeric. So turmeric is perhaps one of the most powerful plants on the planet. It is a known strong anti-inflammatory, and it's also beneficial for the immune system and can even reduce chronic pain, arthritis, headaches. And so turmeric is something that I just like to add a little bit, maybe a quarter teaspoon, to most things that I cook for my family. And so I'll mix turmeric powder into my powder blend. And then I also add to smoothies a bit of protein powder. I personally like to get grass-fed collagen beef protein. So from grass-fed cows, a collagen protein, ideally one that's not going to gel. So you can buy grass-fed beef gelatin, which is awesome for making jello or perhaps adding to a soup. But with a smoothie, we really want a collagen protein that will dissolve. And so a collagen protein powder can be useful. I also opt for some whey protein powder. And so that's lactose-free, does come from milk, but whey protein also has a lot of known health properties. Protein powder is totally up to you. I feel like it's hard to find clarity or certainty in which kinds of protein are the best. I tend to stick with collagen and whey, but there are sprouted plant proteins and pea and rice proteins. There's all kinds out there, soy protein, but I tend to opt for whey and collagen for my family. From the fruit and the greens or greens powders, then I'm going to add some intentional additional fat, so avocado if I have that, or a scoop of coconut oil. Some people opt for MCT oil. I prefer coconut oil because it's just the whole form oil from a coconut. MCT oil is a further extraction out of full spectrum coconut oil, but is more of a manufactured, not quite occurring in nature in that form. And so I opt for just a scoop of coconut oil, usually to add to our smoothies. It also gives it a nice creaminess. I'll often add grass-fed yogurt. So dairy, again, is a really complicated topic in food as medicine. Of course, people who are more in the vegan camp would not feel great about yogurt, but there's a lot of research showing how fermented dairy has health properties. So once dairy is fermented, it has much lower sugar content. The microbes have kind of broken down some of that casein protein. And now we have a diversity of healthy microbes to help replenish the gut microbiome. So I will include usually some grass-fed, always grass-fed dairy, plain, full-fat yogurt. So full-fat dairy is ideal. Mother Nature made dairy to have fat with it for a reason. It helps us digest dairy better and reduce blood sugar spike if it's full fat. And grass-fed is going to have a different nutrient profile. And fermented dairy will give you these really helpful probiotics to support diversity in the gut microbiome. So I will usually add a little bit of plain yogurt. It's not sweetened, no sugar, no flavor, just a plain, sour, full-fat, grass-fed yogurt can be helpful. I also add pomegranate juice. So pomegranate is a rich antioxidant. It has way more nutrient value and antioxidants than red wine. We hear about the benefits of red wine, but alcohol is really not good for us. However, those antioxidants are, and pomegranate juice has a lot of antioxidants, so that's a really powerful juice to add to your smoothie. And then from there, I will add a little bit of flax, chia, and hemp. So I tend to like to grind up ahead of time chia seeds and flax seeds. I put them in a jar and keep them in the freezer. And then when I'm making a smoothie, I just can grab a spoonful and toss it in. And then with hemp seed, those blend up pretty easily in your blender and don't leave any chunks. So flax, chia, and hemp seeds also disappear really well into a smoothie. Now I tend to just add water for my smoothie to get it to the right consistency. If you're using fresh fruit, you might want to add ice cubes, but when you're using frozen berries and frozen banana, room temperature water is ideal, so it's not too icy. And then you can just add water to the right consistency for you. So this is the way that I approach a therapeutic kind of food as medicine smoothie. Bananas, berries, healthy fats from coconut oil, avocado, flax, chia, and hemp seeds. Greens, however I can get them, so a bit from avocado, spinach, or a greens powder, a bit of turmeric, Chinese medicinal mushrooms, pomegranate juice, little bit of plain yogurt perhaps, and from there you can get creative. Any fruit will go well into a smoothie. There's many other things you could use, but those ingredients will give you a really nutrient diverse meal that tastes good, it's quick to make, it's easy to consume. You can even bring that to school or work in a jar with a lid and have it a little bit later. And smoothies for me are one of the foundations to health that allows me to give my family a quick, easy meal, but have peace of mind to know that it's 100% pure nutrition and only going to support them feeling happier, healthier, and have easier time with their mental health. Thank you for joining me at Root Cause of Happiness. If this information was useful to you, please share it with others seeking knowledge and tools for resilience. It is a meaningful contribution to the world when we become proactive in our healing journeys, by learning and growing, by increasing our awareness, by addressing the root cause of happiness.